Because I'm such a shy individual, afraid of my own shadow. I come from a terrible family, but going to the boys club at the time, which thank God became Boys and Girls Club, I found myself. It gave me a sense of confidence, self-esteem, because I was so afraid of everyone and everything, even myself. But boxing became my sport, and I did pretty good at it. But boxing, of all sports, has given me such a life. It's given me an opportunity and the pleasure of taking care of my parents, of my siblings, of those who are not as fortunate as we are. So boxing, for me, it wasn't about knocking guys out. It was about reciprocating, giving people back. Because I'm a blessed man. For 50 years, I was a fighter.
Don't you find it strange that someone who could beat up half the people in the world say that they were shy and withdrawn and quiet? But I know what you mean, because kids have to find themselves eventually. Now, at what age they find themselves is totally up to their environment and their family and everything else. You said you found yourself when you became a boxer. Yes. I don't think I found myself until I went away to college. I said, well, maybe I'll go to college, around here. And my dad said, no, you're not. And he sent me away. And I went away to school. We lived in Chicago. I went away to school in Iowa. And I found myself to be a totally different person, because you become self-reliant, you have to make your own decisions, and other than my family, there was never anyone around like this to help me with any direction and show me, just how to go about life.
Well, I tell you, something most people don't know, I started boxing when I was like 8. I went down to the club, and I boxed this kid, and he hit me in the nose, boop, and I said, that's it, and I retired. I retired a lot of times. So I retired, I came back when I was like 14, more prepared, and I put the gloves on, and it was like I found boxing found me, or we found each other, and from then on out, it made me who I am today.
Yeah, I don't know how much time we have here, but I'd hate for us to stand up here and just go yak, yak, yak without answering any questions that you guys might have for us. So if you, yes, sir.
Yeah, we have a couple questions right here. We'll go ahead and start right here.
How did you get, my name is Kalia, I'm 8. How did you get the name Sugar Ray?
Well, it was quite simple, because the name Ray Charles meant I could sing and I couldn't sing. So I started boxing, and Sugar Ray Robinson, who was the real Sugar Ray, he was one of my idols, and I used his name, and then I had a chance to meet him, and I said, sir, is it okay if I use your name? And he said, absolutely. And from then on out, I became Sugar Ray Leonard. Good question, thank you.
I'm gonna guess that at some point you got a chance to meet Ray Charles.
Yes, I did. I met Ray Charles. Who knows anything about the No Mas fight? Well, in that particular fight, Ray Charles sang America the Beautiful. And that was the first time I met him. Of all places in the boxing ring, of the most important boxing match of my life, my career, I should say. And I met him. He gave me a big kiss, and he told me something else. I can't tell you, kids here.
All right, we got another question.
I'm Brooklyn. What is your favorite memory about the Boys and Girls Club you attended?
When I first got my membership, I was so ecstatic. I was so excited. I cried like a baby. Because back then, they do that now?
Do what?
I had like a tag, credential that says I'm a member of the Boys Club. I hate saying just boys. It's Boys and Girls Club. And I was very proud of that. You didn't get one?
No, but I'll get over it. It's a thing. For me, I actually went to Boys and Girls Club once, and a young lady said, I have a question for you. And I said, Yes. And she said, actually, it's not a question, it's a statement. I said, go ahead. She said, I saw you on TV last week. I said, yeah. And she said, what you said was completely wrong.
Oh, yes.
Thank you. What was your name? She said, Denise. I said, sit down, Denise.
Sugar, we got one more question for you.
Hello, my name is Blanca, and if you didn't box, what other job would you have?
I want to say a singer so bad, but I want to be a teacher. Yes. It's all about giving back. That's who I am. I give back. Thank you.
All right, Greg, we got a question for you.
Hello, my name is Arnold Ochoa, and I watched you on the March Madness show with my dad last year. And who's your pick to win the NCAA tournament this year?
Well, first of all, did you like what I did? Or no?
Yes.
Okay. You had to think, Arnold, you had to think about it. How could you pause? I think right now, although the field is pretty balanced, I think a crazy guy would say anybody but Duke right now. That could change. Injuries happen. Other teams get better. Other teams get stronger. But right now, I don't think there's any question that Duke is the best basketball team in the country. It doesn't always mean that the best team wins. It's the team that plays best. Because there are going to be those nights when some team is going to come to the gym and they just didn't bring their jump shot with them and they can't hit the broadside of a barn, and that's how upsets happen. And as you well know, sports is all about upsets. There are favorites and there are those who aren't favored, and sometimes the favorites don't win.
Thank you.
You bet.
All right, we got one more for you, Greg.
My name is Joshua Stewart. I'm 15. I was wondering, if you didn't go into sport casting, what would you go into?
That's a good question because I really don't know. Like Ray just said, there was a time going through school that I thought I wanted to be an English teacher because I admired every single English teacher that I ever had. But yet when I got out of school, I was I went back to a company that I'd worked with during the summertime. It was a clothing store, and they invited me to be their assistant advertising director. And I went from there to Time Incorporated, and I was a purchasing agent for paper and printing. And then I went to a hospital supply company for sales, and I was doing that when I heard about the audition to be a sportscaster, and I auditioned and I got the job. But to be honest, it keeps me awake at night sometimes because I feel really fortunate. You talk about you feel you're blessed. Me too, because if I wasn't doing what I do now, I don't know what I'd be doing. I don't know.
Well, I think we are, go ahead, we have a quick stop, go ahead.
I have a question. Actually, Mark just mentioned to me that we're going to have HR, the name and age. You know what? It's Doc. We don't need to go into age. But listen, I was going to say that Mark just indicated that we're going to have HR call you because we do need teachers. So since that was your passion, we have some openings in the district. So you guys want to bring him back? Yes? So
I highly recommend him.
Yes?
I highly recommend him.
We're going to put you in the classroom. So, but seriously, here's a quick question. We grew up, and a lot of us watched your fights. And one thing I wanted to ask you was the Hagler fight, which was a great fight. But how did that define the rest of your career? Because that was an outstanding boxing match, probably one of the greatest that we have ever seen. And you actually saw it as well, yes. So what happened after that? How did that define the rest of your career in terms of as you transitioned into retirement? Because we know he never fought again after that, basically.
It was beating, it was really beating the odds. It was a time in my career which was in limbo because I had retired so many times, and I had a partially detached retina, so people were concerned about my health. But going the distance in that fight, not just winning, but going the distance was something that I always preach about because I do motivational speaking, and I use boxing as a metaphor, or fighting as a metaphor, that we are fighters. We get knocked down in life and relationships and jobs, everything. That fight in particular proved that it's all about what's here and what's here, more so than anything. And when I won that fight, I was ecstatic, incredible. And Hagler, who's a friend, well, sort of a friend, he moved away to Milan, Italy, I believe he did. Yeah, and he's been there for a while. Yeah, but we're trying to get together because I'm trying to do the documentary with Hagler, Hearns, Duran, and myself, the Fabulous Four. And so Tommy Hearns is my friend. We call each other periodically. Duran is okay. Hagler, I'm still working on. So I'll give you notice. Thank you.
All right, we have time for one question. Do we have anybody that has one question? Ryan, do you have a question? All right, come down here. Come on. All right, go ahead. Who's your question for?
It's for both of you.
Ooh.
Yes.
Okay. So basically, if okay. What was your favorite subject in like middle school or like elementary or whatever?
My favorite
She said her favorite subject in school.
subject in school was Spanish.
Spanish.
Yeah. My teacher was beautiful.
So that's logical. Mine was English. As if I could just stay as far away from math as I possibly could. My dad graduated from college with a degree in accounting, and math came pretty easily to him. And he went to law school with an accounting degree, and he told me, and he said, Gregory, math is just simple logic. I said, well, no wonder I can't get it. And I was just horrendous in math, but I loved English.
All right, so I think we're getting around the time. I know you guys have to get to your event. If we can have you guys have a seat back in here, and then if I can get Williams and Jefferson, we want to get a big group photo.
Oh, yes.
Sure. April, just for clarification, big group photo or photo back there? Big group photo, yes. Fantastic.
So, gentlemen, have it here. Thanks. If I can get, this is Jefferson on the ground. You guys want to scoot in? If I get Williams to come up to right here. And if everybody wants to scoot in.
Thank you, sir.
We're just going to scoot in. AYC, if you want to come over on the other side of the staff inspection on that, there we go. How are we looking? Good? Okay. You guys can sit down. You guys sit down, sit down on the set, please. We're almost there. There you go. Have a seat. Wherever you are. There we go. Let's do it, please. All right. We're good to go. Yeah, we're waiting to see. Okay, yeah, we're good to go. You guys, we want to give a very big round of applause for Sugar Ray and Greg for coming. Making us all place together. Thank you so much for coming in. You guys go ahead and see. Everybody say seat, please. Let's go ahead and let Greg and Sugar Ray. Our guests, you guys are more excused to leave.
Perfect. Mic check, mic check. Cool. Yeah, we'll bring us over here. Hey! I remember that fight. I may look young, but I'm moisturized. And I believe that my dad at one point was going to be I remember that. How are you, sir? Wonderful. Appreciate you. Mr. Leonard. Pleasure, sir. Do you have a stick you want me to hold for both of us? Or you're good? Say hi to you. Arnold!
One at a time or both at the same time?
I think whatever is easiest for you guys. If you want to do it for a time crunch, we could do it both at the same, and then you both can just look at me, and then we'll both fire some questions at you guys. You ready to go? We're rolling. Okay, so we know your names. Now, just to clarify, I know you're an alumnus. You were at the Boys Club back in the day in the 60s. Were you an alum as well?
No. Never had the opportunity, and I really didn't become acquainted with the Boys and Girls Club until I had become a broadcaster, and I was asked to appear at various events in support of them, and read up a little bit and found out what they were all about, and I said, yeah, I'd love to be part of it, sure.
Yeah, there's such a legacy, right, with the Boys and Girls Club, and you had mentioned about being a part of the Boys Club in the early 60s really shaped your character. I wonder if you could speak more about that lack of confidence that you said you expressed, and then you became one of the legendary, most iconic fighters in the world. So how did that shape you, who you are today?
It's very ironic, the fact that I was such a shy kid. I mean, I couldn't come out of my shell. Being exposed to something that is so wonderful, caring, safe, there's love there, there's camaraderie there, there's everything that you need. And so the Boys Club and Boys and Girls Club has had an enormous impact on my life, on my career, on who I am today.
When you have young people that are looking at both of you, they see two men of color that have really transformed the paradigm for a lot of people, depending on being as a sports broadcaster, as a boxer, then being in entertainment as well. Talk about the value that these kids, that they're able to see these two men in today's world, and how successful they become, the message of hope that they bring. What do you think it means for these kids?
Well, for the inner city kids, mainly, it's like it's an option. It's another choice, a positive choice. It's an opportunity to be somebody, whoever you want to be and whatever you want to become. The Boys and Girls Club provides that. And again, I keep saying there's so much love there. There's so much respect, and there's so much. I mean, it's special. It's special.
Mm-hmm. And I hear all the time. I didn't grow up or go into my business wanting to be an example or to set an example. I love sports. I wanted to get into sports. All of a sudden, I'm up to my neck in baseball, football, basketball, hockey, golf, tennis, boxing, everything else. And I get so many people coming up to me in an airport and talk about how proud I make them feel. Or my brother, is it you and your brother, you really make us proud. And I know what they're talking about, because there was a time when people of color, those jobs weren't there for them. That's the reason why I got hired. I got hired at the station in Chicago because they didn't have very many black people on the air. It doesn't mean that you're going to keep your job. If they need someone purple and they hire someone purple and that purple person can't do the job, they'll find somebody else who's purple. However, I was fortunate to be able to do the job. I think that's the reason why I got hired at the next job. But after that, then it's a matter, I think, of proving yourself every day. And I know that there are people out there who take great pride in the fact that kind of like he's one of us and he did it, and it's a good example to take home to our kids.
Guys, do you have any questions?
I'm fine.
Did you have any questions?
You guys are good. Thank you for your
Fellas,
time.
thank you so much. I
Pleasure.
appreciate you.
Nice to meet you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate you guys. We'll be at the fairgrounds too.
Good to meet you. Good.
Thank you. Safe travels. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
That was good. That was really good. You got some good stuff out of it. Yeah.